What's up, guys? This is Teddy. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video, we're going to be talking about keys in SQL Server, and keys are going to be one of the most important aspects of a database. And I'm going to kind of do like an in-depth, and I'm going to show you the things that I wish I would have known, the things that I think are going to be very important for your job as a software developer or some kind of data analyst, and kind of show you some tricks and tips to think about keys so that they don't confuse the ever-living shit out of you. I'm sorry, I just cussed there, like they did me when I first started learning them, because they're so important and they're so pivotal to databases. And keys are what have really caused databases to, be as powerful as they are, and databases have been around in this form. A relational database has been around since like the 1970s. And keys are kind of what have played a part in allowing databases to be so flexible and powerful. Otherwise, we would still be storing data in Excel spreadsheets and filing cabinets, because there's really the only thing that separates a database at the end of the day. Obviously, there's more things than keys, obviously, but really at the heart of it, it's keys. Keys allow you to, number one, separate your data logically and tie them together so that you can quickly, sift through your data and form relationships between them. And I'm going to go, so there's so many different keys, but I'm only going in SQL Server. I think it's really pivotal that what a primary key and a foreign key, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. And then a candidate key is kind of important too. And the concept of a candidate key is also very important. So candidate key is underneath, like a super key is literally anything that's unique, but a candidate key is going to be the same thing, but a little bit more specific. So a candidate key is unique, but it's not a primary key. And a candidate key, a good example would be a social security number, an email, a Pokédex ID. I called it right here we have this column called the Pokédex ID, and the Pokédex ID is a candidate key because it's not a primary key, it's not a foreign key, but it's still unique. It's almost like your social security number. Your social security number is unique. It uniquely identifies you, but it's probably not what's linking your data in a database somewhere out there and wherever your data is stored. And a candidate key, there can be more than one candidate key in a table. There can actually be multiple candidate keys, and candidate keys have a lot to do with database normalization. And we talked about database normalization. We didn't really talk about candidate keys too much, but candidate keys, if you really want to dive deep and you want to become like a database administrator, or you want to become like a database beast, you probably want to learn more about candidate keys. But just realize for a beginner SQL person or a software developer, a candidate key is just unique. And the way that you declare a candidate key in a table is you just give it the unique constraint right here. So if you were to create a candidate key, you would type in the keyword constraint, you would give it the name, you would give it a unique constraint, and then you would put your database table or database column name in here. This is the constraint name. If you're ever, where's this word coming from? It's the constraint name. This right here is where you're going to actually pass in the column. So candidate keys, important to know, but by far, if you don't pay attention to anything in this whole entire video, pay attention to the primary key and the foreign key part. So the primary key is that the deal with the primary key is that it's, number one, it's unique and it can't be null. And you can have more than one primary key in a table, but it's not going to be incredibly common. And if you have a bunch of primary keys in a table, I would think, maybe that might be some type of bad database design. But the primary key is always going to be on the left side of a table. So we'll just go to here and let's just look at a real example of a primary key. So if you don't want to follow along in SQL Server Management Studio, you don't have to, but the primary key is always going to be on the left side, and it's always going to have this naming convention. Not specifically the underscore, but it's going to just be the table name followed by the ID, and it could look like product table, or could look like product ID. It could be product ID, could be product ID, could be lowercase as in this example right here, but you kind of want to keep things in uniformity. I think there's a rule in programming. It's like, you pick something, but once you pick it, don't change it down the line. Like, don't go through another table and start naming these differently. And the main thing, here's what you want to know. The primary key for total dummies is going to be the primary keys on the left side, and the primary key is what's going to tie together the foreign keys. And you can have more than one primary key in a table, but it's typically only going to be one. It's only going to be on the left side, and it's going to be what uniquely identifies the table. And you create them more than likely with you're going to have something called identity. So whenever you update a table, whenever you create a record, this word right here, identity, is going to mean it's going to increment the number for you. So if you inserted, and I talked about this in a previous video, so if you inserted into a table, identity is going to be what is going to auto increment it for you and make sure that it's unique. Otherwise, you're probably, if you're a software developer and you're inserting into a database and a user submits a form into your database, you're not going to be able to keep track of all the primary keys. So you want the database to do it for you. The primary key in itself, like I said, it's pretty much just a unique identifier that can't be null, and it's always on the left side, and it always has the table name in it, just like this. So the next thing, if you want to go check out one of my other videos, I've got a video on how to actually create the primary key foreign key relationships, but now we're just kind of talking about them more in depth. So the next thing is we're going to have the foreign key. The foreign key is a little bit more confusing, but think of the foreign key as almost like a piece of string that's going to be what forms these relationships together. And I'm going to hopefully blow your mind here. Maybe not, I don't know. So this is the primary key. This is the foreign key. These are actually two foreign keys right here. It's actually incredibly common to have a bunch of foreign keys in your database, but you're probably wondering, like, well, why? They're just numbers. Why do we have these? Why do we have this brand ID? It's because think about if you could, like I said, tie these together like as a string. And I've went and did like a snippet for my database. So let's see here, getting a little carried away. So this is the brand. What if we could just like put this over this? Like, let's just forget about the category key. Let's just forget about the model. Like, what if I could just put that on top of that, and it would magically match up all of these numbers? So right here, like, we would match it. This would go up to here. This would go to 9. So 5 would be Richie, whatever these cat brand names are. I don't have any. This is just like a dummy database. This right here is the Surly, and we just match these together. That's what a foreign key does. A foreign key is going to make it so that you could pretty much just slam these tables together, and you could. These are going to be representative. So 9 is going to be Trek, 5 is going to be Richie, 8 is going to be Surly, 9 is going to be Trek, and 3 is going to be Heller. And that's really the whole entire idea of a foreign key. Another thing is that you want to think of the foreign key as almost like a parent-child relationship. Here's the way that I remember it, and this is like something that I just kind of like made up in my mind, and it's kind of stupid, but whenever I think primary key, I think parent. The primary key is usually the parent, and the foreign key is usually the child. And that's kind of the relationship. But one of them is going to be the parent, and one of them is going to be the child. And a lot of times they're referred to as like the primary key table or they're referred to as the foreign key table, and that's kind of that relationship. It's almost like the parent and the child, and the parent can only be one, and the parent has multiple children. So if you think about it in terms of like a actual parent and child relationship, I as a parent, like I'm too old to be a child, but I can be a parent and I can have multiple children. But children cannot have multiple parents. And that's kind of the relationship. So a brand can have multiple, like this right here is this is like the foreign key. This is the child table. A child can have multiple parents, but a parent table can only have one child. There can only be one child associated with this, but there can be multiple brands associated with a single parent. Hopefully that didn't confuse you. If that confused you, I hope it didn't. But if that did not confuse you, and maybe that opened up a couple of doors for you, smash that like button. Anyway, so whenever you're creating these primary key and foreign key relationships, you're going to be doing it down here in the constraint. You can also declare a primary key as a constraint up at the top of whenever you create a table, but more than likely you're just going to be creating these relationships down at the bottom, and it's relatively self-explanatory. And I actually go over whenever creating tables how to create primary key and foreign key relationships, but whenever you're doing it, that's what you're going. Whenever you actually create tables, you create the primary key and the foreign key relationship down here. Anyway, I hope that video clears some things up for you. If it did and you really enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you for watching.